The mythology of Zionism, utilizing principles of the Promised Land and the chosen people, to enact brutal violence and colonization that is actually a Western plan. And a lot of my work is about the destruction of Arab Jewish life. And for me personally, Zionism has meant the rupture of Jewish community from their homelands, plural homelands in the Middle East, which to me is a tragedy. And also scripturally makes no sense, because even if you do buy into the mythology of Promised Land, what makes Jerusalem and Damascus different? Damascus is also in the biblical, or Baghdad. Abraham was from Baghdad. All these places are actually so meaningfully significant. Iran and Iraq has so many sacred Jewish sites. And Judaism developed in the ancient Near East alongside other traditions, alongside other religions. So to all of a sudden just take Palestine and say this is Jewish only and then the rest doesn't matter is quite strange scripturally. But also, of course, what that means around the destruction of Palestinian life, and you see the contradictions in it quite easily. On the one hand, it's the Promised Land and we cherish this land, but on the other hand, it's the eradication of all the animal life, of the water systems, of ecological destruction. So it doesn't make sense. And I think is Western colonial interest is to divide between Jewish and Muslim communities. And that was in some ways a plan. Britain didn't give Palestine to the Jews because it wanted safety for the Jews. It wanted Jews to be out of Europe. It was almost a way of getting rid of Jewish communities in Europe and saying now we could just pretend like it's an age-old battle between Jews and Muslims, as opposed to actually wrestle with why has Europe been such an unsafe for Jews for centuries. So much of Judaism and Islam were created in parallel to each other. This is why I love doing so much research around Andalus, because you really see a lot of Jewish and Muslim philosophers and theologians being in conversation with one another, writing letters to one another about their conceptions of God and of theology. And nowadays we're not taught any of this history. We're just taught that Jews and Muslims are in this endless conflict war, which again is another mythology. So for me, I think there's a lot to say about Zionism as a Western colonial movement that has destroyed the region.